Hey review family, keep it high, keep it tight. My name is Jay Morris, the review guy, reviewing music for the love of music, and I'm back again to bring you another video. And in this one, I'm going to be doing a quick review of the new Sanguisugabogg record entitled Tortured Whole. This is a dividing record, a very polarizing record. The debut record from Sanguisugabogg, which is a Columbus, Ohio brutal death metal band that can at times border on some other extreme varieties of death metal. When they burst on the scene in 2019, they started releasing a variety of singles that were gaining a buzz, and if you were anyone in the underground, or you followed forums or reviewers or reactors or just anyone that really enjoyed that type of music, you were going to come across one of these singles and the buzz and the acclaim that was being associated with them, with a lot of people acting like they were the best thing since sliced bread. Now, the fun thing about brutal death metal is it really doesn't hold anything back. It always is very exhilarating and it is blistering, but it can also run the risk of being one of the metal genres and subgenres that can have the most chance of being one-dimensional, of being cookie cutter, even more than the main genre that it originates from in the first place. And despite the buzz that this band was really conjuring up with the singles, I was apprehensive stepping into this debut studio length, because one of the things that was constantly on my mind is these singles really are just not living up to the level of talk that they are getting. In general, it is pretty basic, it is pretty formulaic, it is very predictable, and I didn't really hear anything that was blowing me away or getting me super intrigued. But even though I was skeptical, I wanted to give this band the benefit of the doubt, because anytime there's a band that's building up a lot of buzz for a debut, it is cause for celebration, because it's obviously going to be a big moment in the community, a big moment in the niche, and without a doubt, this is one of the biggest records of 2021 when it comes to building up that healthy level of acclaim. And I can honestly say that I think that this is, like a lot of people are saying, overhyped. I don't want to be a fence sitter and I don't want to be vague with my opinions on this. I want to kind of keep it blunt. I can see why people think this is a fun record, and as a burst of energy type of thing, I don't think it's terrible, I don't think it's bad, but I don't necessarily think it's good. I literally just think it is average. These knuckle chuck type riffs that just go and go and go, and they sound so riffed out. These vocals that are very similar to, say, slam metal or the 90s brutal death metal scene with bands like Devourment. It definitely has that timbre to it, and just the way that things are constructed. Everything blends together, everything semi-sounds the same, and while it is very heavy, while it does have that really over-the-top vibe, it also just feels extremely predictable from a riff point of view. I genuinely never really found myself getting super into the grooves that they were putting forward, because as someone that follows brutal death metal and that follows slam metal and that follows down-tempo and brutal deathcore and other genres that are associated with the brutal label, I think Sanguisugabogg has a really bad habit on this record of just settling into similar grooves that feel like a lot of what's being done, and it doesn't help that the production just seems very dense and lifeless. It's not low fidelity enough to be raw, to be primitive, but it isn't super produced enough to have the sort of unique Leader Records over-the-top flair, which I genuinely think might work in its favor if it were more of one of those sides of the spectrum. It just seems dry, it seems hollow, it seems like vapid, and that it's just sort of this lifeless husk that's meandering through track after track after track, and I keep waiting for something to happen. And I'm not expecting progression, I'm not expecting technicality, because when you step into a brutal death metal record, I don't think that the expectation should be that you're going to get something that is totally different from what you're used to. But what I would have loved to hear on this record, with them building up this amount of hype, is take their sound in a way that built upon why people were enjoying them, but didn't just settle into these same ideas over and over and over. This record settles into a very bad feeling of familiarity, and it does become a slog and cause a lot of fatigue throughout its runtime, because track after track I found myself just wondering and waiting for something interesting to happen. And if this is the type of service that you are wanting from a brutal record, if you want that very heavy sound, I think that you don't necessarily necessarily have to look for something that is super technical or proficient or efficient, but there are better bands that do exactly what this band is doing and have more fun with it and just have a tighter sound to it. To me, if I'm being bold and if I'm being blunt, it genuinely seems like they just opened up a scroll that was the blueprint of what brutal death metal is supposed to sound like, and they literally just followed that to a T. I don't necessarily hear a ton of chemistry between the band members. I don't hear anything that's making them stand out as a whole, and the fact that this record just blends in and becomes this major haze and this major blur, I don't doubt that there are going to be people that enjoy this, and there are plenty of people that enjoy it, but I see why it's polarizing. I think this is a very basic record, and I want to reiterate that I have nothing against the band, and I don't think that they did anything inherently wrong, but I don't think they did enough to warrant this level of acclaim and this level of buzz that is swirling around. People are scattering, and they are swirling the fucking skies like vultures over this record like it's the best thing. And it's kind of similar to what happened to that neck rock record Mortal, where it is very good to a lot of people that are into that type of music, but it is so basic when you really run the gambit and when you look at everything and just iron it down to the brass tacks and say, what is this? What is good about this? What is bad about this? What are the flaws of this record? And as opposed to people who are just trashing on this record all in all, which I don't have a problem with because criticism is valid, I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's good. I just think it genuinely is the most okay, unoffensive, brutal record that I have heard this year. So if that's something that's up your alley, I guess give it a shot, but this isn't for me. I just think it's incredibly average. I'm going to be giving this album a 5 out of 10, and that is a wrap. Have you heard this new Sanguisugabogg record, Tortured Whole? If you have, let me know in the comment section below what you thought about it. I would love to discuss this record with you. Be sure to like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to join the review family today, and smash that notification bell to be notified of my future uploads. You know who it is, my name is Jay Morris, the Review Guy, and I'm signing off saying farewell.